Immigration is good, but it's a problem when they don't speak English.
Oh, I already know I don't like this.
Fortunately, we have a solution.
Allow immigrants to learn English at elementary schools.
I'm not against it, but I thought they were already doing that.
They're not in here. They're not here. So this will help them learn the basics so they can integrate flawlessly in America.
So they would be in school with the elementary students at the same
Yeah.
time?
So just to double up, like, so we can save pay on like the teachers to.
I just say no.
I mean, learning with children might be a little weird, but
Maybe children could learn life experience from the older people.
No, thank you.
I wouldn't feel safe with my kids with adults.
Well, we have teachers in the classroom and security officers.
Would you install like TSA metal detectors for individuals like that come into the classroom?
Why do you say that?
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Individuals
He
like
looks
him
really
or
nice.
the kid right here?
That guy makes me nervous. That guy looks like he wants to blow the classroom up. I wouldn't be safe.
No, I don't think you'd have. I don't think you would do that.
He's here to learn English.
How do you know?
He's just trying to learn English.
How do you know?
Okay, that example video there is what's called a social experiment. It's kind of what we're doing as well. To set that up for you, it is just showing visual images, but it's showing it to elementary school teachers who happen to be liberal, extreme liberal. And then explaining, okay, here's a shortcut to teach all of these illegals that are invading our country English. I want to have you watch that again, because when it's applied in real time, it seems that liberals have a problem with it.
Immigration is good, but it's a problem when they don't speak English.
Oh, I already know I don't like this.
Fortunately, we have a solution.
Allow immigrants to learn English at elementary schools.
I'm not against it, but I thought they were already doing that.
They're not in here. They're not here. So this will help them learn the basics so they can integrate flawlessly in America.
So they would be in school with the elementary students at the same time?
So just to double up, like, so we can save pay on like the teachers to.
I just say no.
I mean, learning with children might be a little weird, but
Maybe children could learn life experience from the older people.
No, thank you.
I wouldn't feel safe with my kids with adults.
Well, we have teachers in the classroom and security officers.
Would you install like TSA metal detectors for individuals like that come into the classroom?
Why do you say that?
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Individuals
He
like
looks
him
really
or
nice.
the kid right here?
That guy makes me nervous. That guy looks like he wants to blow the classroom up. I wouldn't be safe.
No, I don't think you'd have. I don't think you would do that.
He's here to learn English.
How do you know?
He's just trying to learn English.
How do you know?
Now, I don't think that was a legit suggestion, but it was a very interesting social experiment to take liberal teachers and have them almost immediately become conservative. Hey, folks, welcome to the program. Do me a favor, please. Will you lift a finger and share this program? This is going to be part 4 of a series we're doing. That video has a lot of relevance in just understanding, what, the system does to us, cause and effect. By the way, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Goldco. Here's what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to go to jovanlovesgold.com and request your free gold and silver kit today, because now's the time to protect your money with gold and silver. I'm telling you, I think something's coming. And I just want you to kind of be ahead of the curve. Keeping you ahead of the curve is my goal. This is part 4 in a social experiment series. Part 4, the data and the role it plays in mass deception. Number 1, and this is the basis of this social experiment we're doing together, and I'm reading back to you, is can you be made to shun God, your faith, your ethics, your morals, whatever the case may be? Part 2 of this series is what the villains actually put into play to control you. Part 3 of the series was, okay, it needs to destroy the invisible glue that holds America together. And part 4 right here is to, explain to you the role that this data plays in mass deception. Do me a favor. Lift that finger right now. Share this program, and we're going to get started with your learning right after this.
Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County Full Forensic Audit Archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now.
Warning. The following program has been rated Dilligaff and is intended for open-minded audiences. If the truth offends you, or if you are allergic to focused intensity, intellectual athleticism, or the occasional F-bomb or even irreverent humor, please switch off now. If your delicate sensibilities need to be worried about or addressed, might we recommend the Underwater Basket Weaving channel to you? Otherwise, sit back, enjoy the wisdom, insight, and wicked sense of humor.
Cut the crap. How many times a day do you want to say that to politicians? The elite, the loony liberals, the fake news media, and the gender-confused, emotional socialist snowflake crowd. Cut the crap is your secret weapon for fighting for our freedoms and our great republic. It all begins with a massive mental enema, freeing you from the toxic news and politically correct views, which constipate your consciousness with stinking thinking. Your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer. He's known for calling out politicians and telling them to cut the crap. You've seen him on virtually every television network and listened to him on Coast to Coast Radio. And now he's here to help you learn to fight for America. Culture, race, and American politics. They all have one thing in common. They all need to cut the crap. Now, here's your host, Jovan Hutton Pulitzer.
Okay, guys, this is part 4 in a continuing series we're doing called The Social Experiment. By the way, as soon as I finish this broadcast, I'm going to hop over to my locals and continue giving you some detailed analysis from the full forensic audit in Arizona that has now been peer-reviewed and independently reviewed and verified. And I'm breaking it all down for you. It's huge, but I'm kind of going one by one to do it. So if you're on Rumble, you'll see a little red oval that says join. That's how you jump over to locals. Now, to get you started, to kind of understand where this particular part is going to go, the role that data plays in mass deception, I'm going to play for you a few videos. 2 of them are short. One of them may be 3 minutes. The one with 3 minutes might not be that exciting, but it'll at least give you some background. First, when we get started, I want to kind of show you what massaging the mind looks like. Okay? Putting out social media posts to massage the mind.
If you are wondering why we will never have free college in the United States and why we will continue to lag behind other countries in reading and writing, it's because the only voter base that is still voting Republican is non-college educated whites. If non-college educated whites didn't vote in this election, Kamala Harris would have won in a landslide. The reason that there will never be free college is because people who have a college education vote Democrat. The reason that we will never have free college in the United States of America is because non-college educated whites are the only voter base continuing to prop up the Republican Party. And the only way the Republican Party can stay in power is by making sure that as few white people get a college education as possible.
What do you think about that? Just on first blush, put it in chat. What do you think? Do you think it is uneducated white people that keep the Republican Party afloat? See, I can believe that people with college degrees vote Democrat because I understand what the college and university system does to mold minds to their views. But you can see how somebody can be totally into it, right? That college education must be free. And the reason they don't do it is because, well, they want minds that aren't educated because they'll be Republicans. When it's actually the difference. We know that the college, universities, etc., launder a tremendous amount of money in the system. I want to show you some others that you might not have thought about over time, but there's been a lot of research done that I just want you to put this point in your brain as we get started today.
So if you talk to your parents, every news anchor that they remember from their childhood, there's like a 90% chance that was a actual CIA operative. And this is documented, released documents. Guys like Walter Cronkite, like one of the most famous news anchors of all time, working for the CIA to engineer reality. And they're in the business of engineering reality. And you just have to understand that so much of our reality is engineered. It doesn't mean you walk around like a schizophrenic thinking that everything's out to get you, everybody's targeting you. It just means like you see something happen on the news, you see something happen in your life, and you just have one word. Just memorize this one word when you anybody listening, when you hear that stuff or see that stuff. Maybe. Maybe. They say, oh, this happened today because of this one thing. Maybe. Just maybe. You don't have to say there's some global cabal and like I need to drill down to the end and go break into the Bohemian Grove and like figure out all the shit that's going on. You don't need to do all that. Just maybe. That word can protect you from so much of the that's going on with engineered reality.
So with that said, do you believe in engineered reality? Do you believe that media engineers are reality? Do you believe that is a true occurrence? I do. I think I can see it every single day. And it moves things and it moves people to make decisions that are against their best interests. I'm going to show you one. I want to show you, and I love the state of Minnesota. I want to show you, and you probably missed this. I want to show you the Minnesota flag. Have you taken a look at the Minnesota flag, and have you taken a look at what was approved and done during the Biden administration? Well, it started in the Biden administration, got approved, and then Trump came in. Have you been paying attention? Here's the Minnesota state flag, the old one. See the old state flag, Minnesota state flag, state seal? Well, yeah. And I know some of you are jokingly saying Minnesota is now little Somalia, and you're finding out about the corruption there, the Somali corruptions. But this is the new Minnesota flag. Does something look odd to you about that flag when you compare it to the Somali flags? Do you kind of see what's going on? You kind of see the subtle hints that are all around us that the system is manipulating us? Okay. I'm going to show you two educational videos. These are brief. I think I've only got two. I want to show you two educational videos because I want you to understand first, when we begin for today, I want you to understand how all of us gather here through social media. We gather through various platforms, various apps, whatever the case may be. I want to put one thing in the forefront of your mind to make sure you understand how it works, and then we can have our discussion today. Let's start with this one.
Ever wondered how brands know what you're thinking before you even type it? Or why your favorite reel shows up exactly when you need it? It's not magic, it's social media analytics. Today, I'll break it down with real examples, cool tools, and how you can use it for projects or personal growth. What is social media analytics? In simple words, social media analytics means collecting and analyzing data from platforms like Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube, to understand what people like, share, click, or ignore. It helps companies, influencers, and even governments to track trends, emotions, and user behavior. Think of it like a mirror, but not showing your face. It shows your digital behavior. Real-life examples that make it click. Here's how it works in real life. When Zomato posts a meme, they don't just guess. They check which post type had higher engagement. During elections, analysts track trending hashtags to predict voter mood. This is sentiment analysis. If a YouTube creator sees their watch time dropping after 30 seconds, they can adjust their script. That's performance analysis. These terms, like engagement rate, click-through rate, or r.o.a.apostrophe, are what analysts measure every day. How to start your own analytics project. 1. To do your own project.
So, you know this happens, right? Have you ever been online, you looked at something that maybe you were interested in, something you wanted to buy, and then it just continues to show up in your feed? So you understand it was something you engaged in, and now it can be passively for something you lingered upon. You don't even have to click. Here's a little more detail I want to set up for you.
Have you ever started watching a show on your tablet, then picked up your phone and magically it knew exactly where you left off? Or perhaps you added items to a shopping cart on your laptop only to see them waiting for you later on your smartphone. If these experiences sound familiar, you have probably benefited from a really neat feature. What you are experiencing in those moments is cross-device app data sharing. This refers to the incredible ability of applications to sync and share your information, preferences, and progress seamlessly across all the different devices you use, like your phone, tablet, and computer. It is all about making your digital life feel continuous and effortless, no matter which device you are using. The core mechanism behind this seamless transfer typically relies on cloud storage and unique user identification.
Okay, so you understand that concept, right? You experience it every single day in social media. It might not only pop up on your phone or your desktop. Hell, you might even get an email offer or a coupon, whatever the case may be. This is the data part of how our world works now. Now, that's why this is part 4 of our social experiment and how data plays a role in mass deception. So I want to set this up with you again. I was on with Roseanne, and we were talking about, besides the election, towards the end of the program, we were talking about faith and religion and the attack on Jews. And like I've told you, if you can cleave Americans away from the Judeo part of their heritage, then you can cancel ethics, cancel morals, cancel God, and you can make the country fall. Well, that was in episode 1. I covered that with you. And if I asked you the question, could you turn away from God? Could you be made to deny God? Most people say no, but there is a very serious program underway right now to make that happen. So I've started going through it with you. And in part 2, because there's just so much information to unpack, I actually showed you what the villains actually put into play to control you. And then the third installment was, okay, it's about destroying the invisible glue that holds America together. Now, that invisible glue, the way they destroy it is through data. And sometimes people don't even connect the dots that you are fed a steady content of what the system wants you to see, and invariably there is always money behind it. It is agenda driven. So we're going to dive into this part of the data, all with the basic principle. Why are you seeing all of the anti-Semitic rhetoric? Why are you seeing Jews are bad, they control everything? Because the simple premise is, if they can get you to basically begin to think Israel is bad, Jews are bad, Jews are the cabal, Jews created everything, you'll see a lot I've covered in the previous examples, then what it does is it begins a cleaving process that will end up with them ending Christianity, ending your faith in God, compromising your morals, compromising your ethics, and teaching you to attack a very small majority, the Jews, and justify hate and intolerance against them. Because once they can get you to do that, it's going to relate back to what I've taught you before, the hyphenated system. Remember, we all got hyphenated, African American, right? Et cetera, the hyphens. Once they've perfected to show how they can turn on the sacrificial lamb, Jewish Americans or Jews, whatever, once they perfected that a hyphen attack, then they control everything. So let's unpack this in number 4. Here's kind of the basis on it, right? And I'm telling you, don't be a hyphen. You're either American or you're not. So few Americans are African Americans, it's ridiculous. You might say ancestral DNA Americans, and it applies to everybody. But why was it African Americans, which is a term that's absolutely disgusting? It's designed to cleave people. Now, as we've been covering in this series, the system, the bad actors, I just generically use the system, okay? What it does is it's been doing this over years. Now, how all of this came about is when I saw all this rhetoric coming up, and I was on Roseanne's show, and all the anti-Semitic hate, calling her a witch and all this other stuff, calling me names. Then it replayed on my broadcast. All kinds of trolls came in, just like systematic. You've seen it if you've been with me for a while, right? It's just a concerted bot war. So I went into artificial intelligence, and I basically said, if I was a bad actor and I wanted to destroy the United States of America, actually rip it apart so I could remake it, what would be the mechanisms by which I would do it? Now, knowing that you need both sides of the coin to understand, I said, okay, you've got the evil whatever here. Give me a hero, which will be our final module. Give me a hero and tell me what would the hero do to counterbalance what evil is doing. Now, organically, AI gave me the script for this supposed kind of novel approach. How would you do it? What I'm giving back to you is exactly what artificial intelligence told me how it's done, how it can succeed, how it can make America destroy itself. Now, a lot of this basis is that the system, the bad actors, what they do is they quietly go around either building or buying up medias, right? Very simple. They buy them up. Now, what they do is they hire, quote unquote, truth-telling commentators. Commentators that have to keep telling you, we're the truth, we're the only truth, you're only going to get here, we're the absolute truth, etc. Just like somebody might be trying to tell you, they're godly and a Christian and have to pray anything. They're beating you over the head with that because that's their true message. Well, it was funny that AI said you're going to get this messaging. And so what happens is in this media blitz, media empire, and the truth-telling commentators, they're putting out websites, they're putting out podcasts and video channels. But remember, and this is AI telling us what to do, what that AI is going to do through those truth channels. Now, remember, the system goes after the weakest minds first. And I'll give you this analogy. It's perfect. Before the 2020 election and everything going on, you were probably on quite a bit of social media. And then basically everything happened in 2020, a lot of distrust. You knew what was happening. And people came in and says, you better join our channel. We're the Patriot, more Patriot than you Patriots, Patriot. We're an incredible Patriot channel. Right? Cancel all your social media. Now, I showed you the Matrix a long time ago. Okay, Twitter probably lost about 53 cents from you or whatever the case may be, right? But what they did is where social media, where people were at one time talking freely and getting and exchange ideas and going out of it, you self-attrited. You cleaved yourself because you heard, well, you're not a patriot if you're on Facebook and if you're on Twitter. So what you did is you went over to other platforms. Patriot, we're a patriot. We're the only patriots. All those other guys aren't patriot stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Well, what you literally did is you did the system a favor. Because let's say 5 million people got rid of Facebook, got rid of Twitter, got rid of all these things and went over to these supposed patriot platforms. They do serve their purpose, but I want to let you know, you took yourself out of the broad scope of our whole country and the world, and you put yourself in a little bitty coffee can. And so you're talking in an echo chamber. In that scenario, you did the system a favor. You didn't do it intentionally. You just thought you were protecting yourself and not supporting bad companies. But what you really did is they took a very large group of passionate people and stuck you over here where nobody sees it. You did their job for them. And that's what the process is. Now, when a lot of this goes out, and what they're doing this whole time, that's why I showed you the data collection first, the system continually accumulates data on viewers. What you fear, what you resent. You do understand when you click a QAnon post. Yes, I will go there. A Q post. And you think you're getting inside information from somebody who is in President Trump's hip pocket, and don't worry, in 2021, August 16th, President Trump's going to be back in office and the military's running everything and President Trump is still president. I want you to understand the simple fact. Here we are 5 years later. You told the system not only what scares you, you told the system what you will willingly follow. Every time you clicked that and you listen to it, because it watches how long you listen to, right? And you kept on doing it and sharing it and retweeting it, the system learns that's what pushes your button. And then the system basically learns how to weaponize fears. See, people think that it's only a model for you want to buy a blue car and not a tan car. It works on every single thing. So when you participate in ingesting all of that conspiracy data, the system is learning how to move you. The system is learning what scares you the most. The system is learning how far can they push to get you to believe something. It's just like all of a sudden you're seeing all these whistleblowers. That one word, whistleblower, has gone through the roof. And the system has learned if they just position somebody as a whistleblower, you'll believe it. You could take somebody who says, I retired from the CIA, and here's what the CIA did. That's not as effective of, oh, I was in the CIA, CIA's bad, and I'm being a whistleblower, and I'm telling you what they're really doing. Do you understand how this works? Well, the system has learned to accumulate this data. Now, what happens is you think you're basically ingesting edgy, alternative media, whatever the case may be, but what it's doing, it is actually mapping the nation's trust or mistrust in church, government, and neighbors. It's trying to find out what your weakness is. And when it understands how you interact with it, that's why I told you, and I've been telling you this for years. If you can't make the logical jump to understand that during the Biden administration, when people were selling you Trump was still president, he's running everything, when President Trump himself goes, I have no idea why people believe that. And you can't even make the logical jump. The military works for Trump, and you think about how many hundreds of thousands of people have to be paid, and the system keeps paying them, and yet they know they work for Trump? No, they would have eliminated them all. And people can't think linearly, and they can't think logically. But it's all a very giant mechanism to measure your fears, to measure your gullibility, to measure your believability. And the system puts these people out there to drive those narratives. And so where we are right now, when you're seeing this Jewish anti-Semitic cabal stuff, you're only watching a further iteration of this. Now, basically, their goal isn't yet to destroy America. We're getting very close. And this is, AI can handle this stuff and see it. And I'm basically playing back to you what AI says and how it works. The plan is to erode trust. They need you to have total erosion in any press and in traditional churches and in institutions in general. Do you think, let me give you one short jump. Do you believe now that our medical system and doctors are compromised and upside down? That now our medical industry is not worth crap? Can't trust them. Do you believe that? Many believe it. I believe it in a certain way because I can see things. Now you have to ask yourself, of all the doctors in the United States, are they all in on some global cabal? Because that's what would have to be, right? Now, let's say it could totally erode all trust in the medical institution. What if somebody came out on a white horse saying, and I don't believe every doctor, every surgeon, I don't believe they were all in on it. I think a lot of them were motivated by money. A lot of them didn't want to be shunned if they personally didn't believe in the mask. But here's what happens. When you can convince the world or the nation that the medical establishment's bad, what comes in on the white horse eventually? We're going to save it. We're going to get rid of these guys. We're going to put new doctors in. We're going to completely remake the medical system so it has trustworthy. And what do you get? Socialized medicine. Do you see how this works? And so that's why I'm explaining this process, because all of these have happened. AI is saying this is how you do it. I'm asking you to basically think, wow, has this happened? Continuing on, the way you measure this is to look for the signs and the results. Here's what AI says will be the signs and results of this type of thing working, right? And I'll give you an example. You might say Fauci, because we were talking medical, is a serial killer. So let me ask you a question. Let's say Fauci was arrested and put in prison. Will a pandemic ever happen again? Will the medical system be fixed? The answer is no. And I always told you, the system will give you the Satans. I told you a long time ago, which you now know is confirmed. I said, Soros is a puppet, uses our money. He agrees to be the bad guy and take the fall, and they pay him well for it. And then if something happens, you think, oh, all we got to do is control Soros. No, we don't, because nothing will change if Soros goes away. It's the system. It's just like, and yes, Fauci did wrong, but that's not my point. My point is, if you threw him under the jail, would it stop this? And the answer is no. But the system will make those sacrifices. So I want you to look for the signs and results. Right now, this is true going on, that attendance is dropping across churches across the United States. And yes, you still want them in jail, but that's not the topic. I just want you to look for the next right answer. Yes, you would get some satisfaction if he was thrown under the jail. All of us would. But see, it's all designed to keep us from the big picture. And that's why I ask you, does it fix the big picture? Or is it just kind of a little placating, like sacrificing Harvey Weinstein to the system for the Me Too movement and then keeping on? See, that's the point. The signs that are going on right now with this is you are seeing attendance drop in churches, exactly what AI said has to happen. Do you believe that more people argue now about conspiracy loading or loaded talking points than ever? Do people right now talk more about the grand cabals, the conspiracies, the hidden agendas, or whatever? And the answer is yes, but here it is. It's in your face, and AI is saying this is what has to happen. And so what happens is the system puts out these theme stories, and one of these themes and stories is whistleblowers. And all of a sudden, they become a major force in the online conversation. Can you agree that, like when it comes to elections, and you understand all the violations in 2020, and it was all supposedly mail-in ballots, and supposedly all these ballots were sent out by like something in Maricopa, you found out that more than half of those ballots that were supposed to be mail-in ballots were never folded by the machines and mailed. You know that. That's empirical evidence, right? That's hardcore criminal evidence. But what are you hearing right now? Everybody talking about whistleblowers from Venezuela. I just want you to think about that. And I'll give you a prime example. There are people that say my audience is just a bunch of dumb housewives, middle-aged housewives, like in middle Ohio across the country that don't know any better. Kind of like that one video I showed you that says, you know, the uneducated white-collar people, they don't know nothing. In my particular role to make you the smartest patriot in the room, I intentionally make sure I explain it in a way you understand. Instead of trying to explain it's a million felonies, here are the various state laws broke, here are the various federal laws broke, I use a very simple mechanism to help you understand. If in fact that 80+% of all of the votes in Maricopa in 2020 were supposedly, as reported by the state, as reported by the county, as reported by the officials, mail-in ballots, then all of a sudden when you see that, well, they weren't even folded, you have to ask yourself, was that really a mail-in ballot? And I'll give you an example. Let's say you have a big printing company. This is exactly how it is. They've got a big printing company. They use these very sophisticated, proper machines that are dialed in perfectly that does this all in an automated process. Part of that calibration is to make sure it fits into the envelopes right because they have ballot stuffing machines. Now, if we took that on its face and you just look at the professional systems, what do the professional systems do? Well, they're not making mistakes in bold. They're dropping this thing called machine inserted color, a stochastic pixel, a little bitty micro dot, not to track the ballot, but to measure the ink that's being used so they don't run out of ink. They need the machines to slow down or stop if they're going to run out of ink, right? So those are a few basic things. It's got to have the right paper. It's got to have color. It's got to have those stochastic pixels, and it's got to be folded on that exact line. Now, if you were looking at a system and you have a number they reported, let's just hypothetically say 4 million ballots, and you find out 2 million of them that they said went through the mail. Not only did they not go through the mail, but they don't even have the stochastic pixels and they have no folds. Now, see, you can understand that. Doesn't that just make simple sense? Let's just measure it against what they said. But the system believes that, we can't, that's just too simple. That's just simpleton. You're not explaining it technical enough. You don't know anything about mathematics or whatever. My job, as I've always told you, is to help you understand what happened. So why would I go to super advanced levels to do that when you're the one that really matters? So I ask you a question. Do you believe absolute facts presented to you where you actually now understand how the systems work? Or are you a person that's more inclined to believe the person who's the whistleblower or the person who's an advanced mathematician and gives you this incredible gobbledygook that only smart people can understand? Which is it? You follow what I'm saying? I give you this, and I try to cover it with you because my job, the way I see it, to make you the smartest patriot in the room, is I've got to push back on the system, because at the end, it's only you that matters. I personally believe there's a ton of deception out there and that you should make your own decisions. But because you make your own decisions, and I present it to you simply to understand, because the public is the client, not the system. Does that make you a simpleton? Does that make you the middle-aged woman who doesn't know any better and can't understand? Because that actually mimics when they say that. Well, you don't have 3 degrees coming out of MIT before you were born, and you're not this. That's the system talking point that you can only listen to certain types of professionals. And I'll replay this for you.
If you are wondering why we will never have free college in the United States and why we will continue to lag behind other countries in reading and writing, it's because the only voter base that is still voting Republican is non-college educated whites. If non-college educated whites didn't vote in this election, Kamala Harris would have won in a landslide. The reason that there will never be free college is because people who have a college education vote Democrat. The reason that we will never have free college in the United States of America is because non-college educated whites are the only voter base continuing to prop up the Republican Party. And the only way the Republican Party can stay in power is by making sure that as few white people get a college education as possible.
Now, the system has sold, if you're not a Democrat, you're not hip. If you're not a liberal, you don't have compassion for other people, the poor people out there. If you're not a liberal, don't have a degree, you don't really know how things work. Well, the same thing kind of comes down to the audit. Now, what you're seeing is the system needs you to believe they're pre-choosing experts. It's just the way it is. And that's why the system uses this. That's why you're seeing the huge influx of whistleblowers. By the way, I heard this morning some 18-year-old criminal stole a car by hijacking it, a carjacking in Brazil this morning. Can your local police arrest him? Honest question. Can your local police here in the United States of America arrest that person? They can't. They can't do anything about it. But yet, you are told, hey, this happened in Kazakhstan, and it was done in Kazakhstan, and that's how they did it here. Can you do anything about that? Does that have any implication on your life? Or on the other side of it, put your hands up. I've told you this before. In this hand, do this. And in this hand, do this. Well, if you can do both of those, I proved you could beat somebody to death and you could pull the trigger on a gun and kill somebody. But does that mean you did it? No. It has no relevance if it could be done. It only has relevance if it was done. And so that's why in a lot of these programs, I try to break it down. I intentionally intentionally present to you the science, the facts, everything you need to understand in a very simplistic method. Does that mean I'm simplistic or it's not valid because I'm not using a 7th degree polynomial? Because if I just get one more in, it's more valid. Again, this is how the system watches what you pay attention to. And if all of a sudden you key into a whistleblower and they can take you on this ride, the more you imbibe on that, the more the system will feed you that. Now, for me personally, it's only about getting things fixed in America and making sure you can defend yourself by being the smartest patriot in the room. Now, what we're seeing, because this is a multi-part series, the first one I did is, in this, can this system make you walk away from God? Can it actually have the villain become a hero for you? Can it actually destroy the glue that holds America together? And I'm explaining this time how data does it. So in the data that I asked AI, I want to do this thing, and I want to understand how it works. It talks, once you can start this narrative, what happens is the screws tighten. Okay? The screws tighten. And in the tightening of the screws, everybody shifts their narratives. You go from things are corrupt. In the 2020 election, with things going bad in the election, you went from things are corrupt, and I'm talking the public at large, not necessarily you. You went from, holy smokes, that election wasn't legit, to now the Jews are responsible for everything. You went from, before they were clamping down on social media, that our government has a problem with pedophilia and trafficking kids, to, well, the Jews did it. This is my point. This is how they move it. So what has happened, and what AI says will happen and has to happen, is that you go on this journey from things are corrupt to things are controlled by a hidden cabal. Your church, your media, your government, your neighbors are all controlled by the Jews. The Jews secretly run America. Question: have you been seeing that across social media? The Jews! You have to add extra O's in there. Have you been seeing that across social media? It's ironic that AI can point this stuff out and show you. It's ironic that AI can point this out. But that is the very dog whistle thing out there that you hear that everybody always talks about. And now this is where we've gone on the evolution, and that's why I'm pointing out it's happened. AI predicted it, it's happened. So as it moves through this process, I want you to understand the visible effects. What goes on and able to measure, is this what's going on? Is churches split whether to embrace or reject truth. I'll give you a real-time example. You might absolutely know that if you mess with a ballot, it is a crime. If you tinker with the machine, it's not a crime because it's voluntary. It's a misdemeanor at best. You might know, hey, everybody talks about the machine and change votes and they saw it on TV, which is just public data, not available in court. Or to the other side, wow, you can see the effects of it in the physical ballot, and that's a felony. Now, can you agree? Let's see if we can agree on this thing. Can you agree that in election integrity, it's fractured? Look at all the Zoom calls, all the meetings, everything else. Can you observe this phenomenon inside just the scope of election integrity? And the answer is yes. People will turn away from the paper. Oh, that's not true because they didn't do a kinematic anything, never turned in a report. to the other side's, well, we now know we're going to get the source code from Venezuela. Are you noticing this playbook? This is how the playbook works, folks. This is how the playbook works. Because at the core of it, people don't want to be isolationist. People need to be loved. People need to be revered. People need to be valued, mainly because a lot of people don't have their own self-value. And so when you start learning truth, they've got to push on you. No, that's bad. They're wrong. They're evil. They're horrible. You're watching this play out in every cycle. And this is some of the visible effects. See, what happens? It happens in your families. It happens in your churches. It happens in your election integrity groups. When some people buy in and it splits to an agenda, what happens? Yeah, very few people go, well, it's probably the machines, but you can certainly see the effects of it in the paper. That's the rarest group. What's the normal group? It's in the machines because a mathematician said, and they did this eloquent polynomial fact world pterodactyl report. Oh, it's just a grifter on the other one. Do you understand how this works? Well, AI says to break the system, you need this to go on. Now, here's how it works in this big band cabal stuff in the Jews. You're hearing this right now. Why obey laws that are made by puppets? We don't have to follow laws. It's broken. Why should we fund any institution that's part of the system? Now, granted, we learn there's bad ones like USAID, but that's where it takes a true crisis and it amplifies the crisis. So in my questioning of AI, how will this tear the nation apart to make you cleave from God? You're now seeing this. You're now seeing vandalism that is being poo-pooed because it happened to the Jews, and that's no big deal. See, that's the softening of their values. And so what happens in this is institutions and citizens are paralyzed by mistrust. It creates constant low-level civil strife. And what happens is it forces the most extreme edges to come together. I'll give you an example. If you had lawmakers, and if you assumed, let's just assume that 80% of lawmakers go in to be a member of the House or the Senate because they really want to do something good for their state and their country. Let's just say that. And let's say the whole world saw something go wrong in 2020. How can the system keep the lawmakers from looking at it? Well, what they do is they begin the psychological warfare. Safest election ever. You're an election denier. That's all conspiracy. That's a fraud. That's not proven. It was a joke. It was perfect. And what it does is it ends up scaring lawmakers into looking at facts. Why? Because by default, it's a politician and it has to be revered by the public. That was what that agenda was for. And this is what happens. It has to create constant, low-level civil strife. And maybe you can connect the dots. People that told you they had all of the data and PCAPs, or people that told you the voting company did it, will now try to convince you they're trying to save other people and they have the answer. But yet, on evidence, you see it was all BS. But see, as long as they can keep the ball rolling, they keep the ball rolling. Now, let me ask you a question. Does that make you a dumb housewife from flyover country in Ohio and you believe gullible stuff? No, you can see it plain as day. Now, right now, you see all of this happening. Every bit of it happening. Think about, and maybe put in chat, okay? Maybe put in chat, what areas do you think are breaking down? What areas do you think are breaking down? Can you identify it? in every category system? Think about it. Put it in chat. I want to know what you think systems are breaking down. Any of them? All of them? Some of them? Etc. What's being broken down? Right? What's being broken down? Think about it. What's being broken down? It's all around you. Now, I'll give you a prime example of how this happens. Now, what are we talking about right now? We're talking about anti-Jewish rhetoric. We're talking about how the system uses social media. We're talking about how it constantly plants seeds. The message of today's story is you've got to fact check everything. Now, here I am. I'm sharing this with you to show you what AI says will happen. And damned, all of a sudden popping up in chat, here you go. Tribe of Zebulon is fishing again. Now, is this what we're talking about? Southern end of Galilee, bordered by the Sea of Galilee to the east, to the Mediterranean Sea to the west, from the river to the sea. Here you go. Pops right into chat. Exactly with what you're being sold, from the river to the sea. Watching this dialogue, here comes the system. Now, this is happening in real time as you watch this. As you watch this right now, there it is in chat. Right on cue. That's the system. Right there. Now, what happens is when you can get everybody paralyzed by mistrust. Remember, I'm giving you AI's direct analysis of how can you make people shun God, which was part one. Part two was what the villains actually put into play to control you. Okay. Then I say they've got to destroy the glue. I'm giving you that glue, right? I'm telling you how they're going to tear you away from Christianity. Now show the data. You watch my program, boom, here it comes. That is the real time action going on. Because the system watches everything, knows you're learning. Knows you're learning. And boom, has to seed that mistrust. That's what how everything's worked. And this is why you find groups aligning. You find extremist groups aligning. You're actually finding what you would really call a neo-Nazi, a very extreme, white race only, everybody's bad, aligning with Muslims saying it's the Jews that did it. You're watching these factions merge together. That's what the system needs. Now, this is what the system pushes. And it's funny. Look, I tell you all the time, God delivers when I broadcast. If you're in chat, you just saw that. Do you need any more demos other than that to understand how this bullshit works and why they do it? Because they can't have you learning. Now, here's what the system is pushing. It's pushing basically a theological lie that God abandoned the Jews and now only favors a chosen political or ethnic group. It's the part I showed you the other day of Muslims saying, well, Jesus was actually Arabic. It is all a con to cleave our nation away from our roots. Because if you can cleave us away from our roots, our Judeo-Christian roots, you get to destroy this nation. Now, the success conditions of this controlled process that we're going through, and I just have to laugh. I really do. I just have to laugh. I can sit here and teach because that's what I do. I'm not a headline reader, right? I'm not here to be popular. I'm here just to give you facts. It's my job. What I do is to educate. and you make your own decision, but you watch it organically in real time pop in. Now, what is the success conditions of this controlled nature? What does it have to do? How does it work? What does it look like? Well, what it's doing in this controlled confusion, it ends up controlling large chunks of the population. You no longer trust elections. That's true. You no longer trust courts. That's true. See churches and synagogues as the enemy basis. That's what's going on right now. And what happens is it gets people to accept violence as self-defense. Violence as self-defense. How many times do you see Antifa and those type of people getting in people's faces, bumping them, and then the Antifa person or the Karen or the liberal scream, "Don't touch me, don't, how dare you assault me?" That's the confusion. That's the turning of the tables. Now, what happens if this works and you can accept the Jews are bad, the Jews are evil, the Jews did it, the Jews control everything? Here's what you accept with it, that Hamas was correct on October 7th. Now, I want you to think of that one thing for a moment. Since the beginning of time, the system's been trying to destroy the Jews, which are the basis of your own faith, by the way. The country that wants to destroy the Jews, that walks in, blows them up, kills them without any repercussion, walks into a country, murders thousands of people, and look how many people are siding with the terrorists, that the terrorists were right. That's relaxed social norms against violence. This is the goal of the system. It's got to get you to back off your hard beliefs. It absolutely needs you to back off your hard ethics, morals, and things you believe. And the reason it needs to do that is because if it can convince you that it was justified, you yourself will accept violence is acceptable because it was self-defense. And what you get in this vacuum is you get parallel control systems. You get separatist communities. You get rogue militias. You get shadow courts, patriot churches that are actually under the influence of bad. But see, you look over that word, well, they must be a patriot. How many times have you seen it pop up, especially in podcasting? People that openly rely with or align with militias are now trying to convince you we've got to get our guns, we've got to go down, and we've got to bust Tina Peters out of prison. Now, Tina Peters being in prison is totally wrong. Totally wrong. But now there's a big push. I even heard somebody the other day, an influencer with a name, saying, the army has to be used. The army, President Trump needs to use the army to go down and break Tina Peters out of prison. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. What would be the end result if they can create a parallel controlled system? That's a parallel controlled system. Let's just play that one out. I'm telling you, the end result is to create, you relax your visions on these things. You relax your vision on these things. So let's say you do relax. And now you have one guy over here that said, let's get a rope, let's hang them all. They have to be hanged. We've got to get 20,000 people. We got to go down and storm and get Tina out. And then you have another fellow on an election integrity call actually say, and the president needs to get the military and go break Tina Peters out of prison. Now, I'm giving these only as examples because that's what's called, if this all happens, it creates parallel controlled systems. Now, let's just run that to ground because I want to show you how this works. AI is telling you, how do you know when the AI is working against everybody? one of the things is parallel control systems. So now another person come out, held up on a big conference call, says multiple times, the president needs to take the military and go break Tina Peters out of prison. Now, let me ask you a question. If the president did that, what would happen? Let's run that one to ground. If a podcaster that's supposed to be helping America basically said, we got to raise an army of 20,000 people, we got to go down to the prison, we've got to break Tina out. This other fellow says, an older gentleman, we've got to, President Trump has to take the army and break Tina out of prison. What happens? Well, aside from civil war, what would actually happen? Instant impeachment proceedings? You would give the system an excuse for shooting Tina Peters on the spot. Wouldn't you agree? Guards are armed. Military comes in and tries to come in. Wouldn't you be giving the system an excuse to shoot Tina Peters? Wouldn't you give the system an excuse to say, as they tried to build up, President Trump built an army. He wants to be a dictator. He's trying to take control of the system. The only thing that would happen there is the president would lose control of the United States. What's the system's goal? To put everybody into chaos. See, this is one of the things where Black Lives Matter does it. Well, we were victimized. We can kick in these windows and take these Nike shoes because it's reparation. Oh, they can kill that ICE agent because that's justified. This is on the right side of it too. When somebody actually says the government, that President Trump should take the military, supposedly, you hear this number, 1 million people were watching yesterday. You heard this multiple times. The president needs to take the army and go bust Tina Peters out. Now, let me ask you a question. Don't you understand that is a parallel controlled system on our side? And then you've got to see, they want people emotional. If they can keep you in chaos, you will actually justify this self-defense. Oh, it's self-defense. Tina doesn't deserve to be there. Now, you're right. Tina doesn't deserve to be there. I contend other people did the crimes, not Tina. But let's play that one to ground. See, because folks, even though AI is telling me this stuff, this is it. We're in the middle of this. This is how you can see it. When on an election integrity call, somebody actually says the president's got to get the army and go bust Tina out. But when you stop and you don't listen to the rhetoric and you think it through, that one thing would throw our country into civil war. Now, let me ask you another question. Does the big bad system want civil war? You bet your ass it does. Because then it gives it the excuse to take our guns and end the Second Amendment. This psychological warfare is on both sides, folks. On both sides. And it is going on right now. And you have to understand this is what the system wants. And even though I'm showing you how all this crap works, what AI laid out as a plan, I want you to understand they're using the data and it's being applied on all sides. Just because somebody's of color and a member of Black Lives Matter, and they say, well, those kids can't afford school clothes and that's why we got to break in and take it. It's just reparations. And they excuse it, the other side of the equation, because you have supposedly a patriot that knows about elections somehow, and election integrity says, I got to get the president to get the military and go bust Tina out, because the word patriot's in there, I told you, they're going to mix in patriot pitch. Does that make it the right thing to do? I really want you to answer it in chat. Does that make it plausible and excusable? Because just like you think you're right on target and you're fine, you are being manipulated every single freaking day, and you're not watching the signals. You're not seeing what's going up. You can only control these things if both parties are involved. It's not one party that does this. It's the whole system that does this. And the system has an agenda. And the system uses, I told you in an earlier slide, the system capitalizes on cracks in what America that's going on right now. Now, I ask you a question. You saw Tina Peters go to prison for stuff other people did. The crime of releasing the password was somebody else. The crime of breaking into the drives and taking it was somebody else. Not Tina Peters, but she went to jail. That's a break in the system. Now, I told you they used the break in the system, and the AI shows you this. Here's the plan. How do you? They take a break in the system, and they capitalize on it. Can you see how Tina is one of those breaks in the system? A damn good example. But you can see how it can place this rhetoric Can you see how the system places rhetoric to get you to do something incredibly stupid that benefits not you, wouldn't benefit Tina, wouldn't benefit anybody. It would only benefit the system. Right? It only benefits the system. And see, here's the reality. This is the absolute reality of right now. The reality is it's just all of this going on. It is only media ecosystems, algorithms, data targeting, propaganda, and scapegoating, exploiting real scandals, failures in government, churches, and institutions. Now, I want you to think about that for a moment. The enemy's weapon is electronic. It has been for a long time. It's electronic. The reality that's being pushed out there, it's only media ecosystems. It's only algorithms being played on you. It's only data targeting. It's only propaganda. And it's only scapegoating. And what it's doing is exploiting real scandals, real failures in government, real failures in churches, and real failures in institutions. And it's everywhere. I just have to tell you something. If you think Black Lives Matter and all this stuff like they did in Portland, they locked down the city and they put on their little armor and shit and played Soldier Boy and burnt everything up, and you think that's wrong, but on the other side, you actually think that what has to happen is create a 20,000 person army in Colorado, as Altman suggests, or you've got to basically get the president to use the military to go break Tina out, as Jerome Corsi says. You understand you're embracing the same mentality. You understand everybody loses equally. Nobody wins. Everybody loses equally. But those two names I just gave you are supposed patriots. Use the kid test. Use the kid test. Would you allow one of your of-age children to go strap up with guns to join to break Tina Peters out of prison? You understand that's a crime. It's a shame she's in prison. But you understand that encouragement is to get you to commit a crime, which you will be incarcerated for. You understand when one person says, get President Trump to get the army, go to Colorado and break Tina out, that it's actually reinforcing the opposite side that says President Trump is going to weaponize the National Guard and military against the nation because he's a dictator. You understand it would prove that point for the system. You understand that, right? But how many of you watched that yesterday in an election conference call? This is how it works. And that's all I'm trying to say to you. But this is why you have to understand. This is why you have to understand. This is all media. It's all driven by media. It's all driven by names. It's all driven by influencers. It's all driven by personality. And it's all driven on both sides. You're against the system or you're a patriot. And you got to be very wary of this. And that's where they hope people's emotions get involved. So in this AI example, and this is what I just did, the critical point is people can't agree on basic facts anymore. And once shared reality is gone, the rule of law and peaceful politics become almost impossible. You have watched. Now, this is AI. The whole exercise is how can we bring America down? How would you do it? And they say you got to get them to shun God. Would you actually do it? No, you wouldn't do it. I'm showing you what the villains actually put in play to control you. You don't think you can be controlled. I'm showing you they got to destroy the glue that holds us together. And I'm showing you how they do data to do it. And I'll be damned if yesterday you're watching within this last week, supposed patriots tell you we got to raise an army in Colorado, get 20, 30,000 people, go down and pop Tina Peters out of prison. Or another person telling you the president's got to use the army and go break Tina out. See, here's what's happened. They know people can't agree on facts. And once reality is gone, rule of law and peaceful politics become impossible. This is AI explaining how it works in this thought exercise. That's why I'm doing this thought exercise. And AI says the villain, the bad guys, the cabal, the system needs it. Let me ask you a question. Is it fracturing shared reality to think you've got to go get your guns in Colorado and go to a prison and break Tina Peters out? Is it fracturing reality that you're justifying breaking the laws because it's right? It's the same way the left is justifying, well, it's not really murder if it's for the right reason. We're all in the same damn boat. It's the same message catered to the audience based on data. When I ran this analysis, it was well over a week and a half ago, laying it out of how I'm going to do this series. And yesterday, supposedly to a feed that 1 million people were supposedly on, you get told what has to happen. President Trump has to get the military, go in and break out Tina. When you know, would it solve anything? No. But the system knows people aren't going to think it through. It needs a few. See, this is about what AI says has to happen, weaponizing the existing cracks in America. Antifa members are just as blind, broken, and misled, unfortunately, as a lot of patriots are. Antifa justifies its move. Patriots are justifying their moves and saying stuff that is criminal. BLM is doing stuff that's criminal, that the news is justifying, validating. but now it's infecting this side, and you're seeing it in real time. That is the system weaponizing the existing cracks in America. What's happening is it goes from quote unquote hate speech to hate crimes, leads to political breakdown. I hate Antifa. Antifa are a bunch of nerds and or whatever, call them horrible names. We'll just call that hate speech, which is stupid. Words can hurt you. But wouldn't that be a hate crime, right? You're going to attack them because you don't like what they stand for. It's no different if they attack you because you're a Jew. It's a hate crime. Let it go in mass. It becomes political breakdown. These are the use of real psychological levers. And even though I did this exercise with AI to say if I wanted to destroy America, which it says it has to be destroyed from within, and I've got this supervillain, how would the supervillain do it? Every one of these things are coming to pass right before our eyes. That's how bad the system is. I'm hopping over to my locals next, folks. We're going to be talking about some of the facts of the Arizona audit after its peer review. And if you're a simple-minded flyover American and Ohio housewife that doesn't know anything, infatuated with Jovan, make sure you follow me because you're just gullible enough to believe what I'm telling you. You'll find the red oval for Jovan Hutton, Pulitzer.locals.com. We're going to get into some more facts you need to know as I roll all of this out. I love you all. Share this program. This is war. We're in it. And it scares the hell out of me that AI is predicting every bit of it. Every single bit of it. And it's happening. It's happening, folks. And you've got to protect yourself. And you've got to be on the side of you and protect your family if you're going to survive it. I will see you on the other side. Watch for the link to pop up. Share this.
Our courts are based on clear and convincing evidence. Want convictions? Want justice? For what happened in the 2020 election? Then we need your help. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The decision you make in the next few moments could decide whether we ever get our elections fixed or not. Here's why. Trump campaign and allies filed 64 different lawsuits. They all went down in flames. 100% of these cases were presented on "It's the machines," or "The machines changed the votes," or "The voting company executive said he would make sure Donald J. Trump would not win." They all went down in flames. Why? You can't bring theories to court as evidence. No supposed Zoom call or six-degree polynomial math theory or census data is or ever will be proof of fraud. You can't bring theories to court as evidence. Here's why. In both civil and criminal law, the side making a claim carries the burden of proof, and prosecutors must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Without physical or otherwise verifiable evidence, a case cannot meet this high threshold. Physical evidence is the key. The question is, did anyone get relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election? And the answer is yes, absolutely. The full forensic audit of Maricopa County, Arizona is the only evidence-gathering work which gathered relevant, reliable, provable, testable, and duplicatable evidence of what really happened in the 2020 general election. Evidence so damning that the system, the deep state, and those who pull the strings of this country have fought to keep it hidden and have hoped to have it be forgotten to time. Almost $3 million invested in time, funds, and efforts to unlock that which the system wanted hidden. But now, that evidence is in danger of being lost forever. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. With the 2026 midterms coming up, the system is going to try to lame duck President Trump and then most likely introduce new impeachment proceedings. This is the evidence which will help win the war which is surely to come. We need to keep Maricopa County full forensic investigation and archive secure and ongoing. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then we need your help. Please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We need your help securing the full forensic audit archives. Don't allow the only testable, objective, and reliable 2020 election evidence fall into obscurity. Millions were spent on getting it documented and tested. This is historic evidence. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. The historic Maricopa County full forensic audit effort processed 20,895,610 digital and forensic images of varying formats, resulted in 208 million individual evidence-proof files. The system processed over 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. No hopium, no hype, just hardcore forensic evidence. Please make sure the Maricopa County full forensic audit archives survive. Donate now. So if you want what happened in the 2020 election fixed, then please donate to protect and secure this historic evidence. We can't do it without you. We need you. America needs you. Our future needs you. Please donate now. Not fixing 2020 will damn our nation forever. Please donate now.